Twitch try and go 2 weeks without making their company look like the biggest joke ever and / or fucking over their creators challenge. Impossible gone wrong. Cops not called. Guys, I don't know what's going on over at Twitch headquarters, but it's nothing good. It's never been anything good. If there was a single company on the earth that has made more bad decisions in a row, it's gotta be Twitch, right? I feel like over the last 7 or 8 years, it's gotta be. Twitch has never made a single decision that has benefited anybody in the company, period. Like, not even the people who are profiting from Twitch. There's never been a decision in the history of Twitch that was good for a single living soul, except for the one-handed bathtub stream enjoyer community, but that's not what we're talking about today. Guys, I'm beginning to believe that 2025 is going to end up being the worst year for the streaming world to date. It honestly feels like every week something bad is happening, something that should not be happening is happening, and the response from the people in power when it comes to streaming is just like, okay, let's not do anything to make this better. Let's just make sure that the next time it does happen, it's worse. And unfortunately, this still seems to be the response even when these issues begin to transcend the internet and pop up in real life. And today, we got a very unfortunate example of that. Yesterday at TwitchCon, the streamer Emiru was assaulted by a fan during a meet and greet. As you can see in the video in the background, during her meet and greet, a man walked up to her, grabbed her, and attempted to kiss her before one single security guard intervened. Now, after the man was pushed off of Emiru, it looks like he pulls something out of somewhere. It's kind of hard to tell on the video, but some people are speculating that he had a weapon. As of right now, there's nothing confirmed about that, but if you watch the video, you can sort of see what people are talking about. It's a very unnatural motion for it to be anything other than this guy pulling something out of somewhere, but from what I can tell, it doesn't really look like a knife. It looks more like a pin or something. But anyway, that's sort of besides the point. There's no real need in speculating what could have happened when something terrible did happen. These sorts of situations are not new to TwitchCon or streaming events like this, and it's sad that we're still having to see stuff like this pop up. Not only because obviously it's just fucked up that people like this exist, but also because these multi-billion-dollar corporations know that fans like this exist. I mean, seriously, if you remember earlier this year, there was that situation where 3 streamers were on a boardwalk, and that guy walked up to them trying to get their number and eventually ended up saying he was going to kill them. Yeah, Emiru was part of that group, so while this isn't a new thing for Twitch in general, it's also not a new thing for this streamer specifically, which you'd think they would kind of take into account when hosting events like this. They've dealt with these sorts of situations before, and they refuse to do anything to try and help prevent it from happening again. I mean, seriously, if you watch the video, there was seemingly no security around anywhere. This guy was able to walk up right to the front of the meet and greet without any resistance, and when security does take notice, it's one guy who jumps in, and that one guy is Emiru's personal security guard, who wasn't able to escort him fully out, I'm assuming because he needed to stay nearby. And since the security at TwitchCon is so dogshit, that allowed this guy to just walk away scot-free. And no, that's not an exaggeration. Before I tell you why, I want to read you Twitch's response. We're also going to go through Emiru's response, but it's very important that you see what Twitch said about this, and you'll understand why here in just a minute. After this all happened, Twitch tweeted out, "The safety and security of all those attending TwitchCon is our highest priority. The behavior displayed by the individual involved in the incident yesterday involving a high-profile streamer was completely unacceptable and deeply upsetting. In line with existing TwitchCon security protocols, law enforcement and event security were on site and responded to the incident. We immediately blocked this individual from returning to the TwitchCon premises, and they are banned indefinitely from Twitch, both online and in-person events. We are coordinating with the impacted creators team, and per our standard protocols, continue to cooperate with any law enforcement investigations. We have increased security at the meet and greet attendee check-in point, and will have additional security personnel surrounding participating streamers. If you've RSVP'd for a meet and greet, please note that we are unable to accommodate the +1s for the remainder of the events. Twitch has zero tolerance for harassments or acts that inhibit the safety and security of our community." So this is sort of a whatever statement already. Even without additional context, this just reads like Twitch trying to cover their asses. But it gets a whole lot worse when you look at this clip, which is the guy who assaulted Emiru just walking out of TwitchCon on his own volition. No security, no escort, nothing. He just got to leave. You would think that they would have had security detain him. Really, you'd think that an event like this would just have cops at it already. I don't know if that's the case or not. It doesn't seem like it is if this guy just got to walk out. But the fact that this guy was not arrested on site, pretty wacky for an event held by a company as big as Twitch. I mean, look, I get it. TwitchCon is huge. You can't feasibly have security looking at every single inch of the event, but you could have have them watching the parts where something going wrong is the most likely, and meet and greet events are historically those places. Now, all of this laid out as it has been so far is already bad enough, but when you take into account what Emiru has to say about all this, it just gets that much worse. This is the statement Emiru tweeted out after all this happened. It's kind of long, but it's all important, so we're gonna go through the entire thing. Hello everyone, I'm okay, and thank you for all the kind messages. Sorry I cannot respond to them all. Yesterday, the man who assaulted me was allowed to cross multiple barriers at TwitchCon and even in front of another creator's meet and greet to grab me and my face and try to kiss me. Fortunately, he wasn't able to, but a lot of people have pointed out it could have been a lot worse. I'm obviously shaken up by what happened, and it's not the first time I've dealt with something like this, but to tell you honestly, I'm a lot more hurt and upset by how Twitch handled it during and after the fact. Like I said, I don't understand how he was able to make it to me in the first place. The security in the clip who reacts is my own security. It's true, my favorite and usual security guard was banned for holding a stalker's arm to bring him to the police at a past TwitchCon. That alone is one of the silliest things I've ever heard, but we'll circle back to that. However, there were at least 3 or 4 other TwitchCon security staff in the area who did not react and let the guy walk away, as you can see in the clip since I don't even appear in the frame. The woman who is walking me away is my own personal manager, and behind the booth, the only 2 people who were checking on me and comforting me were her and my friend. None of the TwitchCon staff came to ask what happened or if I was okay. My friend who was present told me Twitch security were also behind the booth afterwards, joking about how they didn't even see what happened and immediately laughing and moving on to talk about something else. So if no one was checking if I was okay or if I needed anything and they let the guy run away initially, I have no idea what anyone hired to keep the event safe was doing. In Twitch's statement, they said that the guy was immediately caught and detained. I'm sorry, but that is a blatant lie. He was allowed to walk away from my meet and greet, and I didn't hear he was caught until hours after he attacked me, and it felt like this only happened because of my manager pressing for it, not because TwitchCon staff present thought it was a big deal. I have a lot more I want to say, but I'll say it later on stream today instead of writing a book on here. Thank you guys again. Sorry you all had to see that. This is definitely my last TwitchCon, and it saddens me to say that as a 10-year off and on attendee of TwitchCon, I think other creators should seriously consider not attending in the future. I did not feel cared for or protected, even bringing my own security and staff. I can't imagine how creators without those options would feel. Stay safe, y'all. Everything is going to be okay. So there's just so much to unpack here. First of all, I want to circle back to that security thing. The fact that Twitch banned a security guard for being a decent security guard is simultaneously one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, but is also one of the most on-brand things I can imagine Twitch doing. That just feels like such a Twitch thing to do that it honestly doesn't even really surprise me. It also doesn't surprise me that Twitch security were apparently laughing and not doing anything. The fact that this guy was able to just walk out of this event is absurd. Like, it's genuinely crazy, and it makes me think that the security was probably just like Twitch employees that had nothing better to do that day, wearing black polos. You know, and it's just really unfortunate that so many streamers feel like they can't participate in events like this, or that it's just flat out not safe for them to do so because of Twitch's negligence. Now, a lot of people will and already are trying to shift the blame off Twitch by saying, oh, well, you can't control crazy people, and like, sure, but you can thwart them. You can do things to prevent them from being able to walk up to a person they want to assault. Like, there's no way to spin it. This is just negligence on Twitch's part. It is the bare minimum to provide security for people at events like this. And it just seems like this weird disconnect where that's like a non-negotiable. That's not even a question for any other type of celebrity. But when it comes to internet celebrities, the people that are profiting off them, like higher-ups at Twitch or higher-ups at YouTube when it comes to events like this, they're like, yeah, well, I mean, they're famous in the sense that tens of millions of people know who they are, and they're bringing us in millions of dollars a year, but they're not real celebrities. They don't need real security. That seems like a real recurring issue in this sort of space, and I don't get it. It really does seem like there is this view that since influencers are not like traditional celebrities, that they don't need the security or they don't need the protections that any event or any venue would provide to a traditional celebrity. When in reality, I feel like it should be the opposite. I feel like most of these streamers have this sort of parasocial aspect to their fame, which historically leads to stuff like this happening a lot more frequently than normal. So I don't think this is a case where Twitch thought this like wouldn't be a problem or that they just didn't need security. I think they just didn't want to spend the money. Or maybe they just truly didn't care if anything like this happened. There seems to be this like weird culture surrounding Twitch, and I just don't really get it. But the decisions they've made in the past, the things they've done about stuff like this happening, has just indicated that maybe they don't care about this kind of stuff the way they should. For example, in her stream talking about all this, Emiru talked about what her manager said that Twitch wanted to do to this guy at first, and as bad as Twitch is, it's still hard to believe.
My manager comes back to me and she's upset. She's like, okay, I've been talking to Twitch people and I'm really upset because I noticed a lot of negligence around the event and I'm not happy with the way that they're handling it now. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, I asked them, you know, like, what are they gonna do about this? And you know what they said initially? They said, oh, well, he's banned from the platform for 30 days.
Yeah, so if you haven't figured out the theme for this, it's just every new piece of information turns this into an even bigger shit show than before, with every new piece of information you learn thinking that that is impossible. For a multi-billion-dollar corporation to see one of their most popular streamers be assaulted after they failed to have proper security in an event they're hosting, for them not to want to do anything legal or like based in the real world, for their response to be to ban him for a month, I feel like that should be genuine cause for people to start considering leaving Twitch. Like, I know that there's not many great alternatives, but that is just something sort of unprecedented almost. To be willing to publicly show that little care to the people propping up your business, that's just crazy. And there's so much more from that VOD. I recommend you go watch it on Emiru's Twitch. Allegedly, the CEO of Twitch was out partying that night. Streamers who were participating in the meet and greet that next day were not informed of this or offered more security. Apparently, it was her manager who got the police involved, not Twitch. Like, there's just so much that went wrong here that if it was any other company, this would be hard to believe. Like, this would be groundbreaking shit. But this honestly just seems like business as usual for Twitch. I don't know if this is a case of where like Twitch just knows there's really no other place to go. Like, Twitch is generally where streamers are going to want to be. And when it's shit like YouTube does, because like YouTube can kind of do the same thing, because if you want to make videos, you're going to post them on YouTube. When it's shit like YouTube does, like enforce community guidelines a bit unfairly, be fuck you with your ads, it's like whatever, it's a headache, but there's really no other option. But when it's stuff like this, when it's you getting assaulted or your coworker essentially getting assaulted and the company trying to sweep it under the rug and do nothing, that's the kind of shit that'll make people endure the headache. Obviously, Twitch needs to do something on this front because it's just the right thing to do. It's what their streamers deserve. But from a business standpoint, if they don't, people are going to leave. It's just a matter of when. Well, guys, what are your thoughts? Obviously, a lot of this is still up in the air. It's kind of one word versus the other, but given Twitch's track record, given their history, I'm pretty inclined to believe everything Emiru is saying and is relaying. It all seems very on brand for Twitch. It all seems to track with what we know that they've done in the past, and it doesn't surprise me that they would essentially try and sweep this under the rug. I feel terrible for Emiru. I feel for her team. Shit like this just doesn't have a place anywhere, and it especially does not have a place at events where the people in charge know that the possibilities of those things happening are exceptionally high. Hopefully there's some good that comes out of this, and Twitch gets their shit together. That is something that I will never get my hopes up about, though. I've learned my lesson. See ya.